Hello music lovers, welcome back to the Woodshed. It's the holiday season here in 2024, and just in time to wrap up the year, my family at Suhr, along with some very special folks, Rich over at Tyler and Zach at Seymour Duncan. Thank you, Fluff, for connecting me to Zach. A lot of folks involved with this project. Here it is. This is my newest guitar. Rarely do I do a new guitar day, but this is the newest one. It is Purple Sparkle. It is a Suhr Classic. Most importantly, it has the Dann Huff LA Studio special setup here with the preamp and the stacks and all the good stuff. Let's get into it. First and foremost, let's hear the thing. All right, so what I chose there was four of what are, to me, like super iconic Dann Huff moments. Yeah, I know you're going to be in the comments, you're going to be rattling off, but Andy, you didn't mention, you didn't play, can you do? Man, you could wallpaper this house with Dann Huff's credential resume, right? So there's not enough time in the day to do them all. But the first was Time to Burn. The second one was the solo from Stay. Both of those are on the Giant Records. Third was not exactly a note for note, but just an approximation of the Man in the Mirror, like water kind of tones. I always think I'm like the watery kind of tones. And then fourth, my favorite neck pickup tone that Dan ever recorded, which is on a Reba McEntire song called The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. Travis Toy and I love to talk about that tone to no end. Here's a great little story. We're at NAMM maybe a year ago, maybe it's last year, and Sean Tubbs is a fantastic guitar player, like one of my favorite guitar players. Sean is working in the Rev booth, and in the Rev booth, Tyler had a bunch of guitars, and Sean was like, hey, you guys should totally check this out. You know, the three of us are friends. We all love Dan. And we go over and I sit and check out the yellow one that's like the Dann Huff. Looks like the one he played in Giant. And then Sean had a couple others. Man, there was just like this special moment where I got it on the neck pickup and the preamp and everything was set the right way on the controls. And I played The Heart is a Lonely Hunter lick. And man, Travis were just like, what? There it is. You know, there's the tone. So then we're all checking it out and trying it. And I was like, man, I've got to do something like that. Now I'm going to hit the question. Well, Andy, why didn't you get the Dann Huff signature Tyler? You could have just got that. Of course I could have. I encourage anyone that's after this setup, get the Dann Huff Tyler. It's the one that's the brown. It looks like his 64 Fender that Jim Tyler and those guys did. It's easy and it's ready to go. So now why in the world did I do it this way? Well, first and foremost, I love my orange Suhr Classic. It's right here. I love the way it plays. I love the way it feels. It's a great guitar, and it just, the neck and everything just feels like I want it to feel. So much about guitar for me is feel, and now I got to be really clear. I don't think there's better than when you get to companies like Music Man or James Tyler or John Suhr or Tom Anderson. Like, we're dealing with not a better than. We're dealing with like, this one feels this way and this one feels this way. It's like if you have the Ferrari and the Porsche and the Lambo, like they're all freaking awesome. They're all awesome for different reasons, and they just have just their own personalities. For me, the reason I've played Suhr guitars for so long is because I just like the way they feel. I like John's neck shape. I like John's fretwork. Just some of these things that they feel good to me. So I wanted the Dann Huff setup in the Suhr. Now, John has worked on a lot of guitars for Mike Landau. Mike at different points in his career has had like switching systems and preamps on the guitars and stuff like that. John was giving me his expertise and information, which is great to have. I wanted to go to Rich, who not just working at Tyler and is a great source of information. I was like, Rich, verify this. He has been in Dann Huff's guitar, and he helped me spec out and just make sure everything was the way it needed to be, from the hot stacks, the neck and middle. In a different guitar, it's the bridge hot stack that's in the neck and middle, but Dan's 64 has the neck and middle hot stack. So I even took pictures of the Seymour Duncans, and they're like, is it these? He's like, yes, that's the ones you want. So thanks, Rich, for specking the guitar out, and especially the electronics, specking the electronics out, making sure and verifying everything. So, those that are wondering why I did it that way and I just didn't order the off-the-shelf Dann Huff Tyler, that's why. It's just the nature of, I have to have a little bit of me in a guitar that I'm going to play out just because, you know what I mean? It's like, just because that's just what I want. Right. So a little bit of me are things like a 16-inch radius, the frets, roasted maple, rosewood, alder, just things that I like. A recessed trim, the cavity that goes farther back so you can go into the body. Things like that. They're not historically accurate to Dan's guitar. I didn't want it to be. I needed things that made it me. Okay, now the other shout out, which is a really cool aesthetic. This is a JB. This is the hot stack. Seymour Duncan. I reached out to Fluff because Fluff is a bro. We had him at Woodshed. He's a good friend of mine. And he's like, yo, you need to talk to Zach about those covers. Because if you notice in Dan's original brown 64, he's got these old school covers, and they look like EMGs. Like, it kind of makes the pickup look like an EMG, but it's not. Right in the middle, you probably can't see it too well, but right in the middle of the pickup cover, there's the Seymour Duncan logo. Now, when I reached out to Zach, by the way, thank you. I said, yo, what's the score with those pickup covers? He's like, man, we don't really offer those anymore. But let me hit you back. So he hits me back. I don't know where he went or what suitcase or trunk or vault that was opened up to find them. But he found a set that was new old stock, which means that they were brand new, but they had never been put in a guitar or sent out or anything like that. So he knew that I was really going for this kind of super LA, super Huff caster kind of thing. He's like, yeah, I got you covered. Shout out to Duncan. Now, with that said, the hot stacks that have the blade in the middle, that's what the pickup is, right? So if you want the Dann Huff pick guard with all the stuff in it, just get the hot stacks, the neck in the middle, and it'll be the correct thing. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of other small details that are, more in line with me, something that I wanted. My Orange Classic has a color matched headstock. It's tough to get this one in the light to where you can see it. There we go. Tough to get in the light. There we go. My orange one has the colored matched headstock where it's like a brown headstock with just a little bit of orange. So I was like, hey, let's do a black headstock and a little bit of the purple, and that the purple is on the body. Now this purple is meant to match Ben Eller's bass that he's been playing. Ben Eller tours with me and plays bass. He played bass on the record, and he has a purple Suhr bass. And I was like, oh, wouldn't it be sick if we had like matching guitars, a little tip of the hat to ZZ Top. And so that's why I got the purple with the flat black pick guard cover, all black hardware. I went with vintage bent saddles. Yeah, right there. I went with the vintage bent saddle, so you could see that. Again, it's just something that I think sounds good. It sounds really nice. And locking tuners on the headstock, and the fine folks at Suhr even did, now it's not a signature model, but they put my name in the back just like the signature model tellies we do. So it was just kind of fun. They actually added that just because they, it was such a one-off guitar. This isn't something that's a production model. There's too many moving parts and too many moving pieces with getting Duncans and doing this. This isn't a production thing. I even put the battery so I don't have to take the pick guard off. They put me a battery spot right there in the back. You can see all my fingerprints on the thing. I've been playing the crap out of it. Again, this isn't a production model kind of thing. It's just something that I wanted, that I thought would be really sick just to have as a studio weapon. I tour with Gary LeVox from Rascal Flatts. Dan produced those records and played on, the first 3 or 4 records. And some of those tones, nice to have under the hand now, And definitely as a studio weapon, it's really, really going to be great. I can't wait to put it through its paces. Let's talk about the switching. The switching is, if I'm not mistaken, I think the switching diagram is actually on the Tyler website under the Dann Huff model, if you need to know all the specifics of it. But in general, you have the 5-way blade, which is nice. You have the push-pull here for the preamp. And then you have the series parallel for all 3. This is the preamp itself. I went with the little mini knob just for the aesthetic. I thought it was kind of cool. Of course, you could have the larger knob and then volume. With this, some of the Tom Andersons have the switcheroo system, which is actually kind of neat, where it's like an off position and then a series and a parallel. This is just a 2-way, and they're mini toggles, and they feel really sturdy, which I like. I feel like I'm not gonna break them. The last thing that you need to know is most of the time, and Dan has said this in interviews, most of the time Dan would just leave the preamp on, and but he wouldn't roll it in. The preamp, as you roll it in, really adds a lot of low mid. It's not even like mid; it's like low end and low mid. It's something that my ear hears. It seems like it's around that like 300 to 400 range on a graph. Now, I might be mistaken, but it's what it sounds like to me. And I leave it off. The preamp is engaged, but it is rolled all the way back. Let me just walk you through the tones, and I'll show you. So right now I'm using Fractal Axe Effects 3, but just because I can get everything and jump around really quickly. This is more about the tone of the guitar itself and not going through, a specific signal chain. With that said, all of these Axe Effects patches will be available to my Patreon members. Shout out to the Woodshed Patreon community. Love you guys. Love what we got over there. We do weekly live master classes and all kinds of good stuff. There's tabs and backing tracks, of course, Axe Effects patches like this. So this first Axe Effects patch is just a basic clean tone that's very Huff inspired, specifically Huff from that 90s Nashville kind of sound, like the Reba Records, Minnie McCready, or whatever. So let's take a listen at it. So that sound is like the reason I wanted the guitar. Really, so many people want that like the super water tone. Like that's why they do these builds. To me, it was about the neck pickup tone. That intro right there. That right there is so special of a tone to me. And it is the neck pickup, and it is fully engaged with the preamp. However, the preamp is off. I'm going to roll the preamp forward and backwards so you can hear it. Halfway up. All the way up. Kind of a jazzier thing. Let's roll it all the way back out to see where we started from. Now, let's hear it without the preamp. It's a lot smaller sounding. Put it in. Really nice. Now with the series parallel, let's just flip one of them. Here's one. Here's the other one. Back. And so, as you can see, there's a ton of different combinations on this thing. A lot of folks, you know, like the watery kind of sound, kind of gets in. And then with full, yeah. And if I drop the preamp back in, and then in series parallel switched. And then, of course, all the different. There's a million different combinations in this, and I'm not going to bore you to tears with walking you through what each one of them does in this video. That probably is a video in and of itself, the Dann Huff switching setup, right? This is just about the guitar, and I'm really excited to get this and put it through its paces. I'm going to take it on Shiprocked and play it on that, which is going to be great. Again, thanks to Zach, Seymour Duncan, thanks to Rich, over Tyler, and of course thanks to Justin and John and all the team at Suhr Guitar, Seiki, and everybody who was fantastic in creating this lovely studio weapon. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to hit up andywoodmusic.com for things like CDs, vinyls, t-shirts, hats, hoodies, all that good stuff. Now, of course, if you want to buy tone packs for the Fractal or even Line 6, got some Line 6 patches now, and then transcriptions, tabs, and all that good stuff, andywoodmusic.com. Now, if you want to join our weekly live masterclass on Zoom, or if you want to take lessons from me per availability, that's going to be on patreon.com/andywoodmusic. Got over 600 videos there for download, so there's plenty of stuff to chew on. Help you improve your playing, whether that be shred or chicken picking or even some jazz stuff. There's a lot on patreon.com/andywoodmusic. We'll see you guys in the next one.